What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing here, back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we are doing the community reaction to the Oppressor Demon King and whether or not this character actually needs a buff. So for you guys that don't know, man, around the community as of late, there has been some discourse about whether or not Oppressor Demon King does need a buff or not. I know, I think it was Iron, he made a video discussing that Oppressor Demon King does need a buff. And then, yeah, I mean, that was, like, mainly the discussion came from, his community. And so I wanted to bring it to you guys. And so I made a community post here about, like, almost a day ago now at the time I'm recording this video. And I asked you guys, do you think Oppressor Demon King needs a buff? Explain your reasoning on if you feel he's fine the way he is, or if you think he needs, changes about his kit. Comment, as I will be making a video discussing this topic since there is some discourse in the community about it. And so yeah, because of that, I was like, okay, let me ask you guys, you know, because I haven't really given my opinion yet, and we will talk about what I think and the way I feel about the character, but I wanted to hear what you guys had to say before I could really, like, you know, before I'm not, you know what, I'll say my opinion before we even go into everything else. That's what I'll actually do. But I was gonna say, I want to hear what you guys have to say, because it's really about, you know, the community, right? It's not really what necessarily I think personally, but like it's more so like how you guys feel about the character, as it's everyone playing with the kit, right? So yeah, again, that was pretty much what I asked. We got 73 comments, guys. That's a lot of people. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna read the main comment. I'm probably not gonna delve into like responses or anything like that. And then yeah, I'll just heart the comment once I know I've read it, and then yeah, we'll just kind of go through it. So yeah, for my opinion, by the way, guys, on whether or not I think Oppressor Demon King needs a buff, I think right now, I think the character personally is fine. Now, the reason why I say this is because every character should have some type of like inherent flaw, guys. No character is ever going to be perfect. Now, I know the main criticism, and we'll get to a lot of the comments talking about it, but the main criticism about Oppressor Demon King is the shield, when it breaks, you do not get the attack buff, and you do not get the buffs for his shield breaking, right? That's one thing. And then the second thing was that his shield itself, which should actually scale only on his defense and not from each character's defense itself, right? It's not like, yeah, like people pretty much want it to be only through Demon King, so he would be the only one on triple defense, and everyone else can be run on anything else, which I feel like is definitely fair. And these are things that, like, yeah, I mean, if Demon King had this, imagine how good he would be. He would be the best unit in the game, right? And so those are things where I'm like, okay, if we want to make every single new festival the best character in the game, that's something that Netmarble would just be doing. They would just make it so, you know, Oppressor Demon King he scales on HP for his shield, you know, and it's for everyone. It's based on only his HP, so everyone else can be running whatever gear, and, you know, the shield itself breaking. Like, I get it, guys. I definitely do. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I personally don't think this character needs a buff, because I do think, you know, with other demons releasing in the game, it's gonna make this character even stronger, you know? Like, I think it's not necessarily a thing of like he's bad, it's just right now his team is kind of bad. So that's pretty much where I'm at. So all right, let's hop in and let's go over what people have to say. So first comment here is from Nico. He says he does not need a buff. What he needs are better demon allies, which is what I was saying. Demons are kind of outdated compared to other races, so getting better units should show how good he already is, which is fair. Completely agree with that. I think right now, yeah, it really is just he doesn't have great allies alongside him, right? Like, we look at like other teams that already have kind of built up characters. Look at like Hell's team, right? Milim, Hell, LR Merlin, you got Nanashi back, you got Camilla back, you have so many like kind of options as well with that team, like Saab, Noctor, just so many variants. It just works out so well with them, whereas like demons, all the characters for demons are just either like a year plus old, and they don't really have as much, right? And that's just kind of like a general comparison. But yeah, I mean, look at fairies, like they have so many like new characters on their team now. That's why they're so strong, right? And even like humans and stuff. So yeah, that's a good comment. Just swapping shield to be based on his HP, which yes, I did see this as well, but guys, that's just too broken, right? Like, imagine they did that, 700% of his HP for this entire team. Now, like, they would have to change the scaling and everything, so I don't think that's something that they would do. Alright, so we got Devo here. I think he looks good on paper. My main issue with him is I feel the devs held back, okay? So Escanor and Sun Jin Woo just do damage by looking at you, Green Sigurd too, and in order to combat that, at least make him and his team immune to auto HP lowers, since he is uber specific to, i.e., yeah, so like to demons and all that. And then if that's out of the question, make it similar to Melee Shield where it blocks secondary effects. His all low dupes are like best quality about him, to be honest, and ultimately I think he'd be fantastic if he released before this past JP Annie, which is fair. And that is something where I'm like, okay, characters releasing in a state like this, like where Demon King released, in my opinion, he seems fine. And the main reason why I say that is because I think the character himself is good. And people are saying, you know, it's not Demon King that's bad. It's, I guess, the team around him as a whole, right? When you take Demon King and the rest of the characters you run alongside him, it just doesn't feel as cohesive as, you know, like let's just say like Goddess or Fairies or Unknown or Humans, right? Like it's things like that where the team just does not feel as crazy. So that's definitely fair. So the next thing here from Wolfles, I guess, or Wolves. I think he needs a buff because if you go second, his shield buff, you always get completely destroyed. Also, his current demon allies aren't really all that. And again, it comes down to, is his team strong enough for the meta right now? Probably not, but he himself, he's still good, and I think that's the way it is. Yes, the shield, I see that as a main criticism. If the shield gets broken and you're going second, you do not get the buffs that he would get normally. You don't get the attack related, and you don't get the shield. I forget exactly what the effect's called, but like for every shield that's on the field that is removed on his starter turn, that's when you get the main buff for that, right? And it's like, I think it's like attack related and crit damage. It's crazy. So yeah, like I do understand that, but guys, like imagine how crazy the character would be if you just always got it. And that's why I think, and with David, what he was saying here, that the devs held back, they definitely did. And it's like, that's part of the character's kit. I feel like they held back because of that reason. They don't want this character to be the best character in the game, or they have plans on other demons that will help flesh out the team completely, right? So, you know, I think that's definitely fair. Alright, moving on now to Name here. He says, what he needs are better allies. Demons as a whole are outdated, and I have no idea why they gave Chandler a relic. That is definitely fair. They have so many other demons that could have given a relic, guys. They could have gave it to, like, Gelda. I mean, I've been trying Gelda recently. They could have gave it to, like, Purg Melly or something, or, like, I don't know, like, some type of character to, like, make him, like, tailor-made for it. Yeah, Chandler was just kind of, like, a kind of an odd pick, in my opinion. Alright, so we got Nathan here. I think he only realistically needs 2 buffs. One for all his shields to make him based on his defense and not... Yeah, exactly. So I was saying, for the shield to reduce all incoming damage, not just AoE. Okay. I feel like them having it to AoE kind of forces you to only use single targets to try and break the shield, right? AoEs, lowering damage on AoEs kind of like makes it so if you're attacking into it, you're like, okay, maybe I don't go for an AoE, but I triple single target into Demon King. You know, it makes the person think. But like with that being said, like sometimes the shield just is not strong enough even against an AoE, and an AoE would just break it. So I do see where people are coming from with that, and them making it based on his defense would be good. So yeah, I definitely do see that. I say this mainly because of how pivotal the shield is for him to survive and help win a match. That they end up being extremely squishy and easy to take out most of the time. These 2 changes would certainly make him feel better to use and help the demon team overall, and that's fair. He definitely needs a buff to his shield. Units like Jinwoo, Brunhild, and other DK just shred through it like it's nothing. Maybe even his attack buffs that he gains are great, and for the love of God, they should reduce all damage taken, not just AoE. I see a lot of people say that, and that's, you know, it's definitely a fair criticism, you know. I do think that they kind of did that to kind of get people to use single targets, though. They're trying to like move away from, you know, triple AoE, right? So yeah, I definitely see that. Yes, but it doesn't need to be massive. The shield is just too frail, man. Make it stronger or allow him to get buffs when it is broken. So, like, yeah, I mean, again, like, in ungeared, it's going to be a lot more noticeable than in geared, right? If you're running, like, triple defense Demon King in geared, it's going to be a lot harder to break his shield specifically. Like, obviously, the allies are based on themselves. But for him himself, it's going to be pretty hard to break it. And so yeah, in ungeared, it's definitely felt like you will not have like a very strong shield in that, just because you can't run like a defense gear set. You can't run that, right? So they should have made him entirely defense scaling. That is something as well that would be kind of broken, I feel like, you know. If he was only defense scaling, I think the character would be a little too overtuned. They would have to definitely, you know, like change it a little bit, right? Because if they have it scaled on defense, triple defense on that character would be beyond busted, guys. Like you don't even understand. If you guys remember Blue Grimoire, you'll know how insane defense scaling can be. And imagine a festival at the level of Demon King already that he's at. It would be so absurd, I think. Sage says, yes, my Zeldris gets one shot and his shield feels useless sometimes, which, again, a lot of people either say his shield kind of sucks, or on a triple defense set, it's fine, but they want kind of the, you know, the team to get the defense scaling shield, not them based on their own, right? I see that as kind of an issue. Alright, so the 2 main issues are that the shield is based on defense and requires you to use triple defense to make it stronger, which means you would go second. The other issue is the lack of strong demons. Melieli is a good character, but not really useful for damage until they die. Yeah, and also Melieli is kind of centered around their talent, and if you're using Demon King's talent, you're not going to really have their talent as well, and that's definitely fair. Zeldris is great for geared players. Anything that scales with defense underperforms severely in ungeared, and you can run 3 times defense and break the unit instead. And with the vast majority of players playing ungeared over geared, Zeldris' only problem is his shield. And that's, again, like Aura Expert makes a great point there. That's fair. In ungeared, the character definitely feels probably weaker in ungeared than geared, right? Like I could see that being a big issue. So I can't say don't have a lot of demons to test him properly. I think he should at least have applicable allies include units with commandments, even if not demons. So who would this refer to though? Like I'm trying to think like, no, Molaski's already demon. It would be like Glocks and stuff, I guess. But even then, I don't necessarily think that would help him too much. Like that wouldn't be too much of a buff. We'll see after Melee releases or Demon Tristan. It's a Dark Mael situation to me. Dark Mael. Now remember with Dark Mael, guys, that he came out and he did already have Melieli. So like, to be fair, like goddesses before Dark Mael were not really crazy. And then they get you know, before Mael, right, they had Melieli, and then they get Dark Mael, and I felt like they were pretty good to me, you know. I don't know if Adam's referring to like, I guess when Melieli released, like that type of situation for goddesses specifically, but yeah, I mean, you know, that's definitely a good point. Saga2 says, I wouldn't say he needs a buff, but he needs to be less dupe hungry, and he needs a better team. The next leaked unit will probably save him. So, okay, my thing with that is, I think it's only 2 out of 6 you really, like, quote-unquote need for the character to feel, like, strong, right? So, I wouldn't say he's, like, super dupe hungry, but, yeah, I mean, I guess, like, them having it at 2 out of 6 is kind of a turnoff, but every festival has that. It's not a gripe of only Demon King, right? Hell no from fellow Otaku. Wild Tiger says, I think his team is what truly needs buffs. Again, most of the units in his teams are outdated, including Chandler getting his relic. Maybe Purg, Melee, or Gelda. Bro, I was just saying that. Or Hell drop all 3. And oh, yeah, or Hell. And then with his kit, I do think maybe his shield based on his HP instead of defense would have been a smarter decision. Again, guys, it would be pretty busted. They would have to scale the amount. It would not be 700% of HP. It would be like, I don't even know, maybe like 200%. Like even then it's kind of a lot, because remember HP scales super high, so maybe even like 100% of it. I don't even know. Okay, Asian literally says, seems good where he's at. However, he needs a good third up front. Not good synergy for most players throwing on Demiurge or Gelda in front. Maybe the leaked Melee would help his team. Yeah, so a lot of people are also mentioning too, Assault Melee did get leaked, guys. Yeah, I think he's the part 2 unit for the celebration. So again, I feel like people are kind of jumping the gun. If Assault Melee is really good for the demons, then hey, that could kind of change things, and people might think of Demon King differently than what they think on this post, right? Just change how the shield works. I personally find that it should scale off Demon King's defense, not the characters it's applying to. Again, another change that I feel like people did kind of agree on, right? Collectively. As I said of some of my buddies, I don't think he necessarily needs a buff. I think he needs new units. DK is good. He's not overpowered like units like Melieli, Milim, or Demiurge at their peak. He just needs new units to work better. Hopefully the new Assault Melee that comes out in part 2 will be a great support. I really like having Demons meta, and it would be a shame to see him fade too quickly. I agree. And that's what it is, right? It's really the characters around him, guys. Because, like, that's the thing. Like, if they drop one character for a team, the team doesn't feel good enough. Look at Melieli when they released Melieli for goddesses, because obviously you could use them on demons, but at the time for goddesses, he was just not good, right? Like, the goddess team was just not strong enough. They needed another character like Darkness Mael to really, you know, elevate that team. So, yeah, I think that's definitely a fairly good point. Now, Austin says he doesn't need a buff. He needs a third for his team. I still haven't pulled for him. I'm glad he's mid. To me, Demon King is not high enough to pull. Okay, I guess that's just a preference thing. Just a little sad about 2 out of 6 passive requirement, but he's still fun to play with. That's fair. That's fair. Again, like, I feel like every festival nowadays, though, has that similar type of effect, though, unfortunately, right? Like, that's just how Netmarble does it, you know? Like, every new festival is gonna have some type of way to incentivize you to pull for dupes, and I would rather have a 2 out of 6 effect than a 6 out of 6 effect, in my opinion. That's just easier to attain, right? So in my opinion, I think that's better than a 6/6 effect. He does not need a buff, he just needs a team. For me, I think he needs a small buff. I just don't like how the passive attack related only applies when the enemy wasn't able to break the shield. Again, that is another thing that I did mention as well, is the shield breaking and you not getting the effects for the shield breaking is rough. So that is one thing that I think they definitely could do, for sure. Yeah, and then yeah, the shield is good, not gonna lie, but as soon as it gets shredded easily by newer units, so the attack related passive is most of the time going to be useless. It would be better if the shield is destroyed, the team gets the attack related or the damage reduction, so the team can tank the incoming damage and the shield gets stronger based on the certain percentage of damage the AoE did, like Festival King. Yeah, and that's fair, and I think that's definitely a fairly good critique. If they were to do some type of change for the character, I think it's something like that would make him a lot better for sure. Alright, now moving on, we got from K here. He says he's literally the same unit we had every year since 2023. Does nothing, and then a certain condition is met, and then he gets a buff, and then he does damage. That's it. If you kill him before that, he's useless. I feel like, yeah, I guess that's just a thing that like pretty much every unit has a problem of, right? Personally, I think he needs a small buff, maybe damage or being tankier, although the biggest problem I found is his team, you see? So I think a lot of people are really kind of saying, like, is it really Demon King himself, or is it actually the team that's the problem, right? Like, I think a lot of people are kind of agreeing with that too, but again, there are small things with, like, oh, making the shield based only on his defense, or making the shield give these stats even after it breaks. Things like that, I think, are very minor changes they could do, but again, guys, they probably knew not to do those changes, so they wouldn't make the character that insane, right? Dirk says, is he really underperforming? Played against him in PvP and he seems strong for now. Yep. I mean, again, it kind of depends on, you know, how strong of them you're kind of facing, right? He has a good DPS, but if you go second, you're dead. Even going first, you get wrecked by unknown team. I think his team currently sucks. Melee and Gelda doesn't provide enough defensive support for him. Other solution would be to increase the value of his starting shield by 50 to 100% at the start of the battle. Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, it's tough. They probably did calc around 700%, especially with you running triple defense. So, I don't know, man. I feel like that might be a little crazy, guys. It might be. Okay, and then Daddy here says, personally, I think he's just underwhelming, mainly because he has no good units around him. He does good damage, and has survivability problem. It doesn't matter when the units surrounding him are just cannon fodder. Melieli not really that good because they can't proc the talent. Demiurge is a collab character. Red Esterosa is weak and miserable for his passive. Essentially, the only good unit to run with him is Gelda, and that's because he does good damage and has survivability. Yeah. So pretty much he's just kind of saying that the demons don't really have good teams, and I understand that. So I won't really delve too much into this. Like, this is a really long comment, but I do get where Daddy's coming from. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's definitely fair. It really is the team, right? It really is the team. So yeah. Demon King's Eldritch is perfectly balanced OP. Even some people just have to understand that going second isn't the end of the world. Defense, food, and Hawk and Oslo backline, if you have enough consolation, but still get LTC'd, it's a genuine skill issue if you complain about Demon King's Eldritch. That's crazy. I don't know. I mean, like, again, like, it's definitely, like, different for each person, right? Like, someone's gonna have a really good experience using the character, and other people are gonna be like, damn, this character is getting rolled. So I don't know, man. It really kind of depends, but that is a good kind of a strategy, though. Defense, food, and Oslo and Hawk backline, you get so much defense. I mean, the shield is probably not getting touched, right? So that could be pretty good. Alright, Kageno says, I could not care less if I didn't get him. Will do after pulling him low. Needs a buff and new Demon King in the same sentence. Y'all demon drones, we're getting all boosted every single time. Okay, so it's just about, you know, demons in the past being good. It's not him, it's just his team. I don't have him yet. No, just better support. No, the demon team is busted enough, and is he does not oh wait, what? And is he does not, nor does any other member need a buff. Okay, so Decidueye thinks he just busted. He's not a unit you can use at 1 out of 6. Maybe if he's 2 out of 6 or 3 out of 6, the team is way better. Again, you know, that's the way that Netmarble at this point tries to get people to, you know, be able to summon for dupes on characters like that, right? People have to understand, if you have no consolations, yes, your Demon King will get one-shotted by a 7 consolation whale, but that's the way PvP works. It's pay to win. He doesn't need buffs, so people crying for buffs just don't have built accounts yet. It's inconsistent to ask the entire community because everyone is at a different stage in the game. Just like Mazino, you either barely scratch the shield or you one-shot the unit. There's levels to this game's to the game, kids. Okay, so yeah, and again, like, some people have that perspective, right? But I think, like, at least coming from like someone like Iron, I know Iron, and you know, that's why this guy made the comment here. I know Iron, in his video, he's a mega whale, so he obviously has all of these things like maxed out, so he has like the perspective that he's still kind of getting cooked. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair point. Yeah, I responded to this guy saying that that's why I made the post in the first place. Alright, so Supreme Joint says, this is one of the few times I agree with the community regarding buffing a unit as King and DN. I felt for the most part was unnecessary. What I found is the main issues with Demon King is how his shield scales and the units he currently has available. If damage and damage if you don't get the attack buff. So yeah, so again, it really is all about the shield, guys. I don't think the character itself really is the problem. It's mainly the shield and people, either the scaling of the shield, you know, whether it's only through him or, you know, you getting the buffs if your shield is broken. So I think that's like the main, you know, kind of nitpick with this character. Yeah, and then the last comment here, guys, Foxtail. I can't really like see it here. Let me like zoom out here. But yeah, you guys can kind of see it now. I just don't need him. I have OG Demon King. I don't want a canonically weaker version. That's fair as well. You know, some people just like the character itself and not necessarily, you know, how they're kind of going about it. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much the community reaction right there for Oppressor Demon King. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys, you know, feel this way about Demon King? Do you think he needs a buff? Do you think he's fine the way he is? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. I gave you guys my opinion and I gave the community opinion. Let me know down below in the comment section below. But that's gonna be it for the video. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day, guys. See you later.